What is up, everybody? I hope you're doing well. Oh my gosh, I didn't even turn on my microphone to see if everything was working all right. How you doing? You doing good? I think this is probably the first time you see me with curly hair and whatnot. I didn't check the camera. I didn't check anything. How's everybody doing? Everybody doing good? Everybody doing all right? Pre-show, obviously, we are looking at 5:54 right now, Eastern Standard Time, and so we're not actually technically start the show until 6 p.m. A little bit of, variety of different things going on. Of course, tonight we're going to be playing clips or some shows stuff from the concert tonight, but we can't do that now. Let me just leave it at that. We're not going to. Let's say it that way. We're not going to. But we still got stories. I still got images and things to share and things to talk about, and just kind of we're going to spend some time together because it's a pretty important day. And it's a very important day. It's the 10-year anniversary. Man, my hair looks crazy, doesn't it? Doesn't it? It's just crazy. Anyways, it's a very important day in the world of Prince, being the 10-year anniversary of his final concerts in Atlanta, which is going to be the primary focus of this evening, is talking about that, talking about the night, everything else. Normally we do the show at 8 p.m., but I moved it forward to 6 because we're going to be doing some concert stuff at 8, but we're not doing the concert stuff at 8, but I didn't want to change it up on you guys. And so I just said, let's just screw it. We'll just do this show at 6 o'clock, get an early evening in. And if anybody misses anything or doesn't tune in until 8 p.m. tonight, they can rewatch it and everything's fine. Everything's good. I hope you're hearing me all right. And, you know what? Since we still got 4 minutes here, we still got 4 minutes of, I guess, pre-show before we get into the actual show itself. Let me preface this with a couple things. Again, tonight we're going to be talking about the 10-year anniversary of Prince's final 2 concerts in Atlanta, which I was lucky enough to be at. And so we're going to walk through that. We're going to walk through the night. We're going to walk through the set list. I'm going to tell you some of the things that were said during the period and whatever, but I can't play any audio from it because it's not released yet. Hopefully it will come in the future. And one would hope and imagine that the reasoning that we can't do it is because it's coming. I don't know. Maybe we'll see. I don't know. But in the meantime, right before we came on the air, let me also say, for those that are new to the show, this is Funkatopia Live. I'm your host, Mr. Christopher. We normally do this at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but we decided to do it 2 hours early. Normally it's myself and my illustrious co-host, Mr. Michael Bland, is normally with us, but he is rehearsing because they have a show this coming Monday on 4/20 at the Dakota in Minneapolis. I will be there as well. I will be emceeing, potentially DJing, and having a good time. So please be sure that if you're up in the Minneapolis area, that you get tickets at dakotacooks.com and join us down there. We're going to have a lot of fun. A lot of fun. I did try to, I can't yet broadcast out to Facebook again yet. I am assuming, hoping that this little issue that we're dealing with Facebook is a 30-day issue, and that at 30 days everything will be back on track. But if not, that's okay. We got you fine folks will follow us anywhere we go, so I'm perfectly all right with that. But right before we went on the air, Paisley Park and the Prince Estate made an announcement. They made an announcement that who's going to be playing at the Prince celebration, and let me just say, I'm a little bit surprised. I'm glad. I have been screaming and hollering about this for a while. It's like, okay, great. I'm interested to see what you guys are going to be able to do because you've already had everybody play. What do you got coming up? Well, according to this new post that was just done minutes ago members of the NPG and the Revolution will be together for the first time as one and performing. I guess I don't know what they're going to be performing. I mean, I assume they're going to be performing stuff from the Revolution, and there can be stuff from MPG, and this could be really, really cool. The other thing that we had been saying for years was that you need to kind of reach and go beyond what the normal, everybody that was on the Paisley Park label and bands that he wrote music for, stuff like that, kind of move outside of that. And they did. I am impressed. Kudos. Thank you for listening and giving us a little bit of taste of the things to come. But you got Shaka Khan that's going to be there. Now, what's interesting about Shaka Khan is that she was there last time. Was it 2 years ago? It wasn't last year. It was 2 years ago, right? But she didn't perform. She just spoke. But this year she's actually performing. Morris Day is going to be there. I don't know if it was a space issue or whatever, but it doesn't say Morris Day at the time. It just says Morris Day. I'm assuming that the current iteration of the time, sadly without Jelly Bean Johnson, is going to be there. But I don't know. We're going to find out. We got Miguel is going to be there. Awesome. I can't believe they got Miguel to come. Tevin Campbell's going to be there. Bilal's going to be there. Kat Graham's going to be there. Sounds of Blackness is going to be there. Plus special guest Bootsy Collins, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, and more. I'm actually surprised. This is actually pretty cool. I'm glad that this is happening. Tickets are on sale now. Just go to paisleypark.com. Just go to paisleypark.com and check it out. Get your tickets. I'll figure out some way to go. I'll figure out some way to be there, but you need to be there. This is important. This is so important. So important. You got to be there because this is cool. This says we got to make sure that they know that this is a good thing, that what the direction that they're going by bringing in these external acts and stuff, people that are heavily influenced by Prince or that influence Prince, and they can do their own thing. And, we don't have to be playing wall-to-wall Prince music the entire time. I'm sure that they will entertain us with a few ditties and whatnot, but this is great. Again, for those just joining us, just announced minutes ago, not even 30 minutes ago, members of the MPG and Revolution are going to be united for the first time at the Prince celebration, June 3rd through the 7th. That's going to be at Paisley Park. It's actually in a few different locations this year. It's going to be in St. Paul, it's going to be in Chanhassen, and it's going to be in Minneapolis. So there's 3 different locations that this celebration is going to be at. As you know how I do, at some point in time, we're going to do a celebration special where I will alert you and tell you everything that you need to know about where to go. If you've never been to the celebration before, you're a little bit concerned, you're on the fence on what that, this is going to be fun. This is going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to tell you where to stay. I'm going to tell you how to get around, best practices and whatnot. So yeah, this is a good announcement. This is a good announcement. See, this is good news. Christina, I agree. I'm excited for the celebration. Christina already has her ticket. Man. All right. That's the primary thing that I wanted to announce. Now, we do have some other events and whatnot that I'm going to be discussing later on, but that was the program announcement that they just made. There's going to be on April 16th, which is Thursday, 2 days from now, there's going to be a Prince Celebration outdoor block party and sing-along, along with a Thursday press conference. I don't know what the press conference is about. I don't know what they're going to be announcing. I don't know where the block party is going to be. I assume the block party is going to be right there at that intersection by the mural by First Avenue down in Minneapolis. I assume that's where it would be. It's normally where they do block parties down there, but a Thursday, there's hustle and bustle business stuff going on. I don't know. As soon as I have details, I'll let you know. And then of course they have further updates on the program and details on Thursday, May 5th, which most likely, since they've already given us the lineup of some of the people that are going to be performing, most likely it's going to be the timeline and exactly how it's all going to fall out for VIP and GA and the tracks and whatnot. So listen, all this stuff is coming, and thank God they're actually giving us a little bit of a leeway. It's good to know. It's good to know that all this is happening. It's good to know they're listening and going above and beyond in regards to the talent that is going to be performing, and we have some information. So early bird tickets are already gone, but if you still have those promo codes, if you've attended, was it 3 or more? If you attended 3 or more celebrations, posthumous celebrations, you should have a code somewhere in your email that you can get 20% off and 20% off or 50% off, depending on how much you have attended. So, man, there's a lot there. There's a lot there. All right, listen. We know why you're here. Well, I hope that's why you're here. Is tonight is a very, very special night because it is the 10-year anniversary of Prince's final concerts. And I kind of feel like this is big. To me, I feel like it's something that all right, let me just start here. I'm going to walk you through this evening 10 years ago in downtown Atlanta. But I'm going to preface it a little bit to kind of talk about when I purchased the tickets and all this stuff to kind of give you a little bit of story background. Yes, I did actually have some sound clips that I was going to be playing along. Yes, sound clips from the actual thing, not actual songs, but like clips, little things he said. But I can't even do that, again, because of the fact that it's unreleased. I don't want to be treading on any type of legal ramifications. So I'm going to avoid that for right now. But there's a lot of stuff online. I'll just say it like that. If you really desperately want to be able to hear some of this stuff, you can find it. There's no problem finding it. I'm just not going to be the one that's going to be holding the bag. So there you go. So thank you for coming. Again, this is Funkatopia Live. WTF. Welcome to Funkatopia. There's our mugs right there. WTF. Welcome to Funkatopia. So thank you for joining us for sure. And please make sure that you download our Funked Up app. Here's the mug for that too. We sell these on the website, by the way, funkatopia.com/shop. Funked Up app. And on the other side, it's got Uptown Radio. Very cool. Before we start, I'm running the scroll below, as you can see. The scroll that is kind of creeping along saying Funkatopia Live is not endorsed, affiliated with Prince, Paisley Park, or the Prince Estate. All commentary here is just me talking. It's just rumor and conjecture unless you hear otherwise. However, tonight's a little bit different because I'm sharing my stories as it came directly from me. I am the first person source for this. I'm not playing anything. The only official information that we had was just the previous graphic that I showed about who's playing at the celebration this year. That's official because that was released officially just now. So, yes, Catherine says Garden of Eden incense burning at the house. Yeah, it's good stuff. But I didn't want to have smoke traipsing up, unless you guys have a problem with that. It's just sometimes people tune into the show late and all they see is this waft of smoke coming up across the screen and they get weirded out. It's like, oh, great, he's over here lighting up and doing a show. Yeah, that's not what's happening at all. So again, I already read it out for you audio folks that are listening on Spotify and iHeartRadio and Odyssey and all those places. That's what this is about. We're not affiliated or endorsed. And again, the obvious reasoning for that is to just make sure that you guys are aware that I'm not official Prince news. We're just a Prince fam hanging out, sharing stories, and hope you guys not only will enjoy the story that I have to share with you tonight regarding and the visuals regarding the shows that I experienced 10 years ago, but also can share stories amongst yourselves within the chat room because there's plenty of time to do that. And we also, at the end of the show, I have some special announcements about some upcoming events that are happening, not just in Minneapolis, but also over in LA and in a variety of places. So hang tight. So let's do this. It was originally announced, as you may or may not remember, you probably don't, but here in Atlanta, we certainly remember because this announcement popped up on the Fox Theater website in Atlanta, Georgia. So it had piano and a microphone, Prince piano and a microphone, Thursday, April 7th, Fox Theater in Atlanta, 2 shows at 7 and 10 p.m. And it even had this really nice looking quote on the very, very top of the graphic that said standing ovation after standing ovation. It was from a periodical down in Australia because he had just got done doing the shows down there. And of course, I was very, very excited to want to be a part of this because I was like, man, I got to get down here. I got to check this out. And I don't know why. I don't feel like I'm going to tell you what it was like for me going into this. I don't know that I felt like Prince could actually pull off, or not that he couldn't pull off, but that just him and the piano wouldn't be big enough for the spectacle that was going to be the Fox Theater. That was very wrong. Wow. I was very, very, very wrong. And for anybody who saw any of the Prince Piano and a Microphone tour anywhere at any of the venues, you completely understand what I'm saying. It was totally, unbelievably magical and just breathtaking in every, no matter how you look at it, it was phenomenal. It was phenomenal. So the plan was at that point in time, well, we got to figure out exactly how do I need to get this money together to get these tickets. And the tickets were going to be on sale. They made the announcement, and literally before, it was only like a few days before, because it was one of those things where they're going to sell them and then, but no, it wasn't a few days before. At that point in time, it was a couple of weeks before, I think, because we were planning to go to Florida. My family was planning to go to Florida. And as it stood with April 7th, I was going to have to cut the vacation short, because I think this, I can't remember exactly which day April 7th was, but it was going to cut our vacation short by 2 days. So basically I cut the family vacation short 2 days just so we could get back in time to see this show. But first we had to get the tickets first. We had to do that. So my friend Kevin and myself, we were working at YP, and we went down to the Fox Theater because we wanted to physically get the tickets. There was the capability to get them online or on the phone if you had a good connection, or, wanted to deal with the insanity that was online. So Kevin and I, because where we were working was downtown, we drove further into downtown and went to the Fox Theater. For those who've never been to the Fox Theater, it's an amazing place. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Matter of fact, this background graphic that I have behind me here is actually a panoramic view of the Fox Theater that I took from my seat at the first show. But I want to talk about this location first, which is not the lobby. It is kind of like the long entryway. And the ticket booth, as you can see, is over there on the left-hand side, right to the left of that first car that's right there. The line went all the way back to those doors in the back, then all across those doors, and then all the way out to the road where we were, and then down the corner. Well, so we stood in line. Kevin and I skipped out of work at lunch, and we went, and they stood in this line all the way, well, not all the way down the street. We were kind of around the corner and whatever. We got there a little bit relatively early. But I guess some people had camped out for hours to get a good position. But meanwhile, my friend Anitra was also doing her hardest to figure out how to get tickets. So she was on the phone. So she's getting tickets. It's going to be her and I. And so she's getting tickets either that way, or I'm getting tickets this way, however it's going to work. The tickets go on sale. We're walking down. I am alongside this right-hand wall here. And I get a phone call from Anitra. She goes, I've got tickets. I've got tickets in the cart right now for 5th row. I'm like, 5th row? She goes, yeah, but it's the first show, not the second show. I was like, okay. Well, how much is that 5th row? And she said $350. And I was like, oh my word. And of course, I got a credit card, and I'm just like, just do it. Just do it. Just do it. Just do it. So she did it. Got 2 tickets, 5th row for that first show. So I said, I'm going to continue waiting in line. Hopefully I'll be able to get up there and get tickets for the second show. Because I have to go to both. Because all Prince fans know that even if he does multiple shows in a period of a night, those 2 shows are not the same. The only shows that were like that were Purple Rain and Love Sexy. All the other shows were all willy-nilly, but those 2 shows were the shows that preceded Purple Rain also. But that's only because you didn't have a whole, hundreds of songs to choose from. And it was very, very, Purple Rain was a very scripted show, and Love Sexy was a very scripted show. But, again, up to this point, 2016, you knew 2 shows in a night, there's not going to be a whole bunch of the same songs played. So that's what we did. Got the tickets. No, I'm sorry. Let me reverse. Still waiting in line to get that second set of tickets. And she calls me again. I've got tickets for the second one, but it's all the way up in the balcony in like the back row. Like there's another balcony that's above us, but we were like on the second balcony and all the way in the back row. And those were $100. So like the worst seats in the house were $100. So again, credit card thoughts. I'm just like, okay, do it. Let's go. Just do it. So there it is. I have $450 worth of tickets. Now, keep in mind, these are the actual tickets after the fact. There's a story about how I actually acquired these tickets, because at the time they were just digital, and it was a will call scenario for pretty much all the tickets that happened this night. I think there may have been some situations, but because of the fact the show was canceled, which we'll get to in a second, everything became a will call scenario. And, but these were the tickets. And I remember was probably a little bit funnier about this is that later on that night, the news came on and was talking about Prince is coming into town. Tickets start at $100. And my wife heard it on the TV and she goes, $100. And she looked at me and she says, you paid $100 for a ticket to this concert? And I was just like, yeah, that's it. I did. Well, technically I did. I spent $100 for both of the shows, plus an additional $250 for the first one. So anyways, yeah, that's the humorous part there, is that when it became dreadfully obvious that I was gonna have to apologize my way out of spending so much on a concert ticket, that it was just mind boggling. It's just how could someone spend that much money on a show? Come to find out, this is kind of forwarding to today. Actually, I just got 2 tickets to go see for my daughter for her birthday, to go see Somber, who is really big act on the radio right now. Matter of fact, Wendy Melvoin just played guitar on one of his songs that's on the radio. But for about $400 for 2 tickets. So I don't feel too horrible, but it was her birthday gift, so there's that. So I guess ticket prices have kept up. I don't know. Anyway, so here we are. We fast forward down to the concert. Well, not the concert, but the trip. Family goes down to do a trip, and we're down there enjoying our fun time in Florida. But we got to cut it 2 days short because I have to get back in time for this show. Driving to the show, and I get a phone call from Anitra telling me the concert's been canceled. I'm like, the concert's been canceled. And of course, that was kind of upsetting for a couple of reasons. A couple of reasons being that I had just made the family cut their trip short to see this concert, and now he was not feeling well. At the time, it was said that he was under the weather and that he had the flu. So, okay. Nothing you can do about that. I would rather, have him healthy, and I know that I'm going to be in town when they reschedule us. I'm hoping. Sure enough, they schedule it for a week later on the 14th. So they re-released the graphic, but they removed the quote from the top from the Australian periodical talking about how amazing the show is. They removed that from the top. I don't know why, but anyways, there it was. That was the promo on the Fox website, Fox Theater website. It's like a political here for Thursday, April 14th. And that's why it was Thursday. So basically instead of our fairly enjoying the weekend down in Florida before we came back up, I made him cut that part out so that we could get back up here. But that's okay. Then we got home. Everybody was fine. I don't think anybody even remembers until I just reminded them. So here we are. 10 years later on this day, today, 10 years. Matter of fact, I was out in front. I was going into the Fox Theater right now for this 7 p.m. show. And the reason why I felt like I needed to do this tonight, we're going to walk through these set lists. The reason why I felt like I needed to do this tonight was because of the fact that I feel like this is an important celebration. It's the 10-year anniversary of the final 2 shows. These are the last 2 concerts from one of the greatest performers that ever walked the earth. I mean, this day should be celebrated appropriately and recognized. Not even recognized, but like revered, honored, respected, for real. And I know that the estate is going to release these concerts at some point in time. I felt like this would have been a great opportunity for them to be able to do it, to recognize the 10-year anniversary. But if they don't feel like it's ready, or they don't feel like all the pieces are there that they need, and in order to be able to tell a really, really good story and make it a good, viable, profitable product that's going to push the legacy forward, all right, then we'll wait. But what I will say is that the next opportunity, if they're going to do it on an anniversary day, would be 15 years, and then 20 years beyond that. And listenership, the folks that grew up with this music are getting older, and unfortunately we're dropping off. So I'm hoping that there's an opportunity for this to come sooner rather than later for the people that did not get an opportunity to be able to hear this show, because I think it's extremely important. Again, it is, he's one of the greatest performers to ever walk the earth. He literally was so masterful at everything that he did that and I'm not being facetious when I say this, I literally cannot think of one single performer that compares to him. None at all. I mean, comparative singer and multi-instrumentalist, D'Angelo, Stevie Wonder, but D'Angelo and Stevie Wonder didn't dance. So they didn't really do that whole shenanigans. They were just players. They played what they played and they just moved on. That was it. And even Stevie acknowledged that, Prince was one of the greatest that ever was, called him the emperor of pop. They said if Michael Jackson is the king of pop, then Prince is the emperor of pop. A comparative dancer. Oh, there's hundreds of them. There's so many amazing dancers out there in the world. Incredible, incredible dancer. Tons of them out there. I mean, his peer Michael Jackson was one of them, one of the greatest dancers ever to walk the planet. But Michael didn't play any instruments. The point is that there's just no one that compares across the board with what Prince stood for and what he was able to do. And it's just unfathomable that so much talent was in this dude. It was incredible. And that's why this day is a little bit more of a difficult day. I mean, the good and the bad. The bad, because it was the last 2 shows that anyone would ever get to see him perform a full concert live. And the good part, obviously, being that I physically was in the building for both of these shows. I mean, and let me just say, real clear, thanks to Anitra, of course, because I was standing in that line and I still wasn't around the corner in front of the doors and down there by the box office yet. So I wasn't even there. So that being the case, I just, I'm glad that Anitra was able to get those tickets for us for sure. And I am blessed enough to have attended both of those shows, both the 7 p.m. and the 10 p.m. shows. Both of them were sold out, by the way. And a lot of people were going, well, how many people saw that show? Well, not a lot of people. I'm sure some of you more inquisitive minds want to know how many people fit into the Fox Theater. 4,678 seats in that Fox Theater, 4,678, which means 9,000 356 people on the planet got to witness his final 2 concerts, but way less for the people that actually got to attend both shows. Maybe half that, if that. Most people, if they spent the amount of money that they had to spend to get in the door for one of those shows, that was going to be it. They weren't going to do what I did and spend $450 in 2 tickets. They're going to buy 1 ticket and be like, yes, that was that one of them. Woof, done, check mark. Because again, only 4,678 people got to see his final concert ever. And again, I was blessed enough to be one of them, and my friend Anitra was my other cohort. Now, let me tell you about Anitra. Anitra's a really, really good friend of mine. She used to be a coworker of mine that I met when, if those of you familiar with religious broadcast, there was a religious broadcast called Leading the Way with Dr. Michael Youssef, based here in Atlanta, and I was the website person for Michael Youssef. I did all the biblical passages of the day. I did the website development stuff. I did all that stuff. And Anitra did marketing. And she was actually the one that introduced me to Outkast. But anyways, we've been friends for many, 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 many years. She's a good friend of mine. She's a good friend of my wife's. This is actually a picture of me and Anitra. Yes, Anitra is very tall. Anitra is like 6'2", I want to say. And with her afro, it even goes way, way beyond that. She is such an amazing, and gentlemen, she's single too. She's incredibly smart, she is one of these people that is like a life of the party type of, just one of these brilliant minds. She know, and the other thing too, is that anytime that we would go to any type of party, she would know everybody in the room. If they were involved in the music industry, she knew everybody in the room. That's so-and-so, that's so-and-so, that's so-and-so, that's so-and-so. Whether or not they were a low-level producer or a DJ, she just knew everybody. And that's the reason why she was such a cool person to hang out with, because if you didn't know something, she probably knew it. This picture, this picture is her and I at R. Kelly's birthday party. This is before he was convicted of anything, but it was me and Anitra at R. Kelly's birthday party. I think there's a couple clips on a rogue Funkatopia account that Anitra posted, but yeah, this is me and Anitra at R. Kelly's birthday party in downtown Atlanta. There you go. That's a story for another day. Remember Kevin, the gentleman that I went to stand in line with? Well, he did manage to get tickets, and he had front row balcony for the final show. And he sold the tickets because they offered him a good bit of money for him. And he just said, I'll see him next time. And I know, being a Prince fan, if I did that and I was like, man, I really need the money, let me just sell these tickets. I'll just see him the next time he comes through. It's fine. I've already seen him X amount of times. But if I had done that, and, looking back, I don't think I could. It would haunt me like on a regular basis. The thought of the fact that I sold those tickets and missed his final concert ever would have just haunted me repeatedly. And I know that you guys feel the exact same way. And there's probably, I think I just saw a couple of stories go by in the chat room. So the exact same thing. It's just like, oh, I was going to get tickets and I didn't, sold out, whatever. I get it. But if I was in that scenario where I had tickets in my hand, front row balcony seats, by the way, to his final show, and then sold them, and then this, it's just, I know he was bummed about it, but he's not one of these huge hardcore fans like you or I. He's just, he's just my buddy Kevin, who likes Prince's stuff. And, he had season tickets to the Hawks, kind of give you an idea of, doing events wasn't that big of a thing to him, But anyways, to kind of get back to where we are, because of the cancellation the week before on April 7th, when it was moved, Anitra had to go out of town, and she was going to end up missing the first show. Literally, she was flying back the night of these shows on April 14th, and she was not going to be making it back until like right before the second show. And that's exactly what happened. And we'll come back to that part of the story. But for right now, I'm going to the show solo, but I have to get down there first and I have to get the tickets for this concert. Remember who bought those tickets? That's right. Anitra bought those tickets. I did not buy those tickets. Anitra got those tickets. It means Anitra's name is on those tickets and she's not there. I'm there. She's not there. The tickets are in her name though, in her envelope. Luckily, by the grace of God's, whoever it was, that the woman that was sitting at the table said, look, if you can get Anitra to send you a picture of her driver's license, I will let you have her tickets. And I said, oh, this may be okay. And again, that's the way it worked. Anitra sent me the picture of her driver's license and I was able to get the tickets and I had them in my hand. And it actually kind of, it almost screwed everything up because then I went to go get something to eat. I had the tickets in hand. I'm going to go grab something to eat at Subway, which is right next door. So I'm going to go grab something to eat. It's going to be fine. So as I'm sitting there, I've got the ticket in my hand and I'm just looking at it and I take a picture of it and I post it. I don't know if it was on Facebook. I don't know. I'd have to scroll back 10 years, but I don't remember what social place I put it on, but I posted a picture of me holding the ticket for the first show. Cause that was the one I was about to go into, holding it in my hand and not realizing or not thinking about it in the moment. Cause I was so caught up in the moment that I was about to go in here to one of Prince's final, I didn't know it was the final 2 shows, one of Prince's 2 shows that night. I was so excited, not realizing that right there at the top of the photo, $350 is what it said right at the top of the ticket. And I'm like, oh no. And I didn't even realize it. I took the picture, posted it, and I was like, proud. Yeah, people are going to see it. People are going to see me holding the ticket, telling everybody, kind of braggadocious a little bit, telling people, oh, I'm going to be at Prince's final concert. Yeah, they're going to see the ticket. And I'm going to create envy is basically what I'm going to do. And, what ended up happening was, I think it was my brother-in-law. The very first comment on the post was, wow, you paid that much for that ticket? And I didn't see it until it was already up like for about 10 minutes. And then by the time I saw it, I was like, oh shit, it was too late. It was already up, but it was still one of those moments where I was just like, oops, I didn't mean to kind of do that. That's horrible. Oh, well, there it goes. I ate my sub sandwich and then I went into the show. So I go into the show. They take me through where is it at? Oh, I've got one over here. You have to go through metal detectors to get in there. And, so we go into the metal detectors and I'm carrying this with me, a pocket recorder, because I record pretty much every concert that I go to. This is not a professional recorder. This is like a regular business meeting type of recorder. That's all that this is. And essentially, I was bringing this in to record it. What's good about this is that it's all plastic. So it doesn't set off anything. There's aluminum. That's it. So, anyways, the point of that being is that I want to record it so that when I do a review or do anything after the show, I'm going to have the set list and I don't have to worry about, rushing to write down stuff. But I was writing stuff down anyways, just because get in. And one of the things I noticed is there was like 3 or 4 different merch tables and all of them were packed solid. All of them were packed solid. Like if you would have wanted to grab something, it would have probably taken at least, 30 minutes just to get up there to buy anything from the merch table. And, they were making the announcement that merch for the first show was not going to be available it was not going to be available after the show. So after the first show was over, you had to get out. There was not going to be any availability. You're not going to be able to buy merch unless you buy it right now, because once the first show is over, they need you out so they can clean up. And then, so that's the other reason why it was packed solid. So I was kind of bummed out because I saw some cool things that I wanted, like this shirt. I bought this shirt, Prince Piano microphone shirt. I think I can reach. Yeah, I can reach back enough. And there was some things that I saw that I really wanted, but I just couldn't get to the merch table. So I said, well, maybe I'll just have to do it at the second show. Probably makes more sense anyway, since I don't have to carry things around. But as I'm walking in the door, there's a guy that's just kind of standing off to the side, kind of like they do in circuses and stuff. He's got programs, and he's got programs, and he's also got rolled up posters. I don't even know what's on this poster. I think he had maybe one poster off to the side that I couldn't even really see well. But I said, all right, I do want merch, so let me go ahead and grab. I'm going to go ahead and grab a poster and a program. At least I'll have that. I've got enough t-shirts, right? What do I need another t-shirt for? Well, whatever. And then I go into the show, and there was that. The audience was buzzing. To start off, before kind of go back just a little bit, and I'm sorry, we're like, yay, we're in the building. Get the story moving. Before we go into the building, though, I do want to say that there was a period of time, it was like a 10-minute window where somebody knew or somebody found out that Prince was going to be arriving at the Fox Theater before that first show, and literally was losing his mind. And everybody was waiting for Prince to show up. So I guess at some point in time, Prince did show up, but I was not out there for that. I was just like, yeah, I waited with them for about 10, 15 minutes. They were like, he's going to be coming. He's going to be coming. And I was like, okay, I've met him. I don't need to see him get out of a car and rush by and be yelled at for taking photo. It's fine. So anyways, but there's already a buzz going. There's already this vibe that's going, that's in the air. It's like, it's literally palpable. It gets more palpable as the night goes on, but you can feel something spiritual happening. It was just, everybody was just in this high love buzz. Just everybody was in a great spot. And there were bodyguards. So I make my way up to the fifth row, and there were bodyguards. Like, I would say just on my side, I was off to the right of the center of the stage. And just on my side, there was 2 or 3 bodyguards that just kept on patrolling. I mean, these, I don't know how to else to explain, these big black Muslim dudes in the black suits to just, you just don't look at them sideways, and they're looking, they're seeing if you got something in your pocket. They're looking to see if you're doing anything nefarious. I mean, they're like watching like a hawk. I mean, and remember, I've got this recorder, and I'm thinking, man, how am I I just want to record the show just so I can remember what the set lists were. So I'm trying to figure out a way to put it in my pocket, and I can't, it's just not, I saw other people break out their phones and take pictures of this, that, and the other. And that was one of the reasons, why I kind of felt a little confident that maybe I might be able to get a few shots. I think you guys have seen this photo kind of flopping around online. That photo was taken by me. That's my shot that I took. And the reason why it's a little bit blurry is because I was nervous that somebody was going to yell at me for take this photo. So I'm like holding up the camera, and I'm just trying to take a photo, and it's kind of really, dimly lit. It's not, and they've got some things that are going on here and there on the stage that I'll discuss in a minute. But what's cool about this is that, looking back and seeing how close I was to Prince was pretty awesome. The bad part about this is remember that Anitra can't go to this first show, so she had to sell her ticket. She sold her ticket to this woman who is a huge Prince fan, but not a huge Prince fan in a just somebody who's like a huge fan that looks at him like an object, not like I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but one of these screamy people. And overall, I will say this just so I can preface it with this, so you can understand my experience. And as we talk about the concert, you'll be able to forget this and not let it destroy the, the story. But the second show, where I was all the way up in the balcony, was a better show for me than this was, being fifth row right there next to him, or not next to him, but this far away from Prince, because all around me was nothing but screaming women the whole entire time. He grunted, or did anything. They were losing their friggin' ever-loving mind. And I get it. It's friggin' Prince. I get it. He does that to women and a lot of folks. But in an intimate environment like this, where it's just him and a piano, it's okay to shout approval or, to be excited, but there does come a time where at some point in the show, you would think, I'm going to take a moment to just absorb what he's doing, just kind of wrap myself in the performance. And that's not what was happening with these women that were around me. The one beside me and three behind me that were just screaming every single moment of silence that gave them an opportunity to blurt something out. That's literally what the entire first show was. I still enjoyed it. I was able to, use some mind trickery to kind of make myself ignore it a little bit so that I can enjoy the show. But for the most part, man, it was difficult. It was very, very difficult to do that. But anyways, so that is my shot. Also, just so you know, for those who have never been inside of the Fox Theater, I did turn around and took a panoramic photo from my seat. And that is the panoramic photo from my seat. The 5 rows, I was sitting in the 5th row. The 5 rows, there's actually an aisle between our 5th row and then the seats there. So that is literally the panoramic view that's also back here on the backdrop of the Fox Theater from my seats. So it's magical. It's a magical place. Look at this place. You've never seen the inside of the Fox Theater and just how majestic this place is. It's kind of like an Arabic Night. It's just this, it's got that vibe. What an amazing place to have your final performances, looking back retrospectively, but just a beautiful place. And, so there's a panoramic view of the Fox Theater. I probably might leave that up so that you don't have to, see that. But on stage, not only was there the piano, but on the side of the stage, there are 2 stools. First off, as you can see, the piano was spotlighted, had 2 purple stage lights that kind of sat in front of this large screen. And the large screen behind the piano was playing kaleidoscope graphics pretty much the whole entire first show. Be very different for the second show, but for the first show, it was all kaleidoscope graphics that were going on not only before the show, but also during the show as well. And on each side of the stage, there was a stool that had its own candelabra with 3 candles, and the candles were lit. You could smell just a hint of lavender all throughout that front area right there. Obviously, the further back you were, you get that. But then they would throw out these short bursts of smoke from the smoke machine to kind of drift across the bottom of the stage. And that's kind of the vibe it was setting. So then it's time for the show. Lights go down. Obviously, I don't have to tell you, there's no opening act. It's just Prince. And they start playing a very, it's a slow instrumental song. It's not Prince's. It's actually a song called Confluence by John Williams, who's done a gazillion soundtracks in his life. He's one of the greatest composers on the planet. But it's a song called Confluence from the movie Memoirs of a Geisha. I think Memoirs of a Geisha, I think is what it is. But I'd never heard of it. And I thought, along with probably 99% of the other people in the audience probably just thought this was another Prince composition. It's like, oh, this is really moody, because it's unusual to open up your show with a song that's not yours, especially if you're Prince. But John Williams, Confluence. If you want to look it up on Spotify, you can check it out. It's very, very, very cool graphic, or cool song anyways. And then the kaleidoscope graphics that are going behind him kind of go away and is replaced by the big grid. Actually, before this, it's one big picture of the most of the Third Eye Prince. And then it fades to this. And then Confluence is still playing. And then a spotlight appears from behind it. Just like, imagine you're looking at this on the stage, and then all of a sudden the spotlight comes in from behind it. And it's a silhouette of Prince down at the bottom. It's where the spotlight is, down the bottom row. Spotlight happens, and it's the silhouette of Prince, and he comes just strutting out. And of course, everybody's losing their mind. And then the visuals go back to the kaleidoscope graphics as they start, just kind of just wheel around the stage. And again, it's mind-boggling that he was just, his presence is able to command that type of response. It's just, I think that is the way with any pop star, but it really, really feels different where in regards to Prince. It just does. So he sits down at the piano and he plays Little Red Corvette, slower version, just kind of, guess I should have known by the way you talked, just that kind of slowed paced Little Red Corvette, just him and the piano. And then he starts up going into Dirty Mind. And again, it's a little bit bouncier version of Dirty Mind, because again, it's just him and the piano. So there's only certain things that you're actually doing. And then he breaks into Linus and Lucy, who you might remember from obviously the Peanuts, Vince Guaraldi, the da 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 da. He went into that, and then he faded back into the instrumental version of Little Red Corvette, using that as the background. But then he started singing another song over it that wasn't Little Red Corvette. It wasn't Dirty Mind. It basically kept saying the lyrics, I want you, and can't nobody do it like I do. And what I found interesting is that on the set list that's listed on Prince Vault, it doesn't make mention of what that is. I guess they assume that it's kind of like an interpolation of Little Red Corvette again, but that's not what this, while it does have the same chord structure as Little Red Corvette in the background, it was a completely different song. And I don't know exactly what it was, but when I was listening to the audio of it, just to kind of pull out some of these highlight moments, and I'm not sure if anybody's aware of what that song may be called. I didn't even look to see if there is a song called Can't Nobody Do It Like I Do. Can somebody look that up on Prince Vault? But he did say that line repeatedly, Can't Nobody Do It Like I Do. So I assume that that, or just may have just been something that had a hook and he just repeated it. I don't know. So anyway, so they leave out of that and they go back. He goes into Nothing Compares to You by The Family. Finally, after Nothing Compares to You, he then goes through his apologies, apologizing for the cancellation. And he said, it's a little under the weather. And then he starts discussing his father. And he actually gets up for a second, kind of like he's like shaking off, like, I don't know. I don't know if he's not shaking off jitters. I think it's just like, oh, I'm too bad for myself type of thing. So he gets up from the piano stool and he kind of walks, and then he sits back down. And again, he apologizes for being a little under the weather. And of course, the crowd's going nuts no matter what he does. If he stands up and walks around, everybody's losing their mind anyways. And again, those kaleidoscope graphics are still going in the background, so it's still kind of set in this weird type of vibe. I don't know how to kind of explain it, but he does start talking about his father and how his father kind of taught him a little bit about some of the piano stuff. And then then Prince broke into chopsticks, and he stopped for a second. He goes, "My father didn't teach me that." And he says, "I taught myself that." And he talked a little bit about funk is space. That's what was one of the main things that his father taught him, was that the funk is in that silence in between the notes. It's that drop. And he found that was really, really important lesson that he learned from his father. And if you also look at the program itself, on the back of the program, it actually does dedicate the tour to his father, which was kind of unusual because up until that point, he really didn't mention, he hadn't really mentioned his father, since his passing. I think he's stayed relatively quiet as far as the press was concerned. So this was, to dedicate a whole entire tour to his father. Something could be said for that, I imagine. And what I will say, as far as going back to when he said he was a little bit under the weather, I'm wondering, just a thought, just one of these offshoot shots, that if this concert does eventually see a release, we know that it will, whether or not it will be in our lifetime. That's not a snarky statement. That's just the reality of it. I mean, if they decide not to release it in our lifetime, and everybody's time span is different. I wonder if they would take that out, his comment about being under the weather, because of the fact it's so foreshadowing, especially when you're looking back at it. Like, I wonder if they would take that out, or they feel like, maybe that's probably too dark to leave that in. But that was the first thing that struck me as I was listening to it, trying to prepare for the show tonight. I was thinking, it's weird to hear him say that, knowing that he wasn't just a little under the weather. Knowing now that it wasn't the flu, and everything that was going on. Just, I don't know. I would imagine that if the concert does come out, that may or may not be omitted. I don't know if you should leave it in for historical context or not, but anyways. So after he kind of breaks into that out of the chopsticks, he goes into joy and repetition. And he is just tinkling on the keys, just like the line in joy and repetition. And it started to rain. And he's just tinkling on the high end of the keyboard so that you can literally visualize the rain. It's just, it was just an amazing addition from how he was playing the piano. And then he merges him from that into Muse to the Pharaoh, which I might add is the only track that he played off of Rainbow Children, by the way. It's the only track that he played off of Rainbow Children for these two shows anyway. And then when he gets to the rap part, I'm used to the Pharaoh, take a load off, sweetie darling. He's playing a very, very staccato piano part, like take a load off, sweetie darling. He's very, very rapping, as opposed to, it's kind of rapping a little bit in the original version of the song, but it kind of has a little bit more of a flow to it. This was more staccato, like it was, trying to be a little bit more, tough. Very West Coast style. I'm trying to help you visualize it, but again, without the audio cues, it kind of makes it a little bit difficult. So you have to just kind of hopefully rely on my descriptive process. Anyways, he goes from that into You Got the Look off a Sign of the Times, Pop Life, Elephants and Flowers, I Could Never Take the Place of Your Man. And then he kind of winds it down for a little bit. And then he lightly plays Under the Cherry Moon for a little brief period of time. It's just beautiful how he's kind of structured it out. Very not orchestral because it's just the piano, and that's another thing I wanted to state too, is that as he's playing the piano, he's not playing these hardcore things. He's not playing these really difficult. He's not playing like strings or adding a bunch of effects to what he's playing. He's playing almost straight piano. I mean, obviously the occasional sustain or maybe a delay here and there, but nothing layered. Just he did his best to really kind of keep this as raw as he possibly could. And I think he accomplished quite a bit. And he comes out of Under the Cherry Moon. He doesn't sing it. He just plays it instrumentally. Then he goes into A Case of You by Joni Mitchell. And I really, it's one of his favorite songs to play from Joni. And he is obsessed with that song. There's so many amazing Joni Mitchell songs. I'm surprised he just kind of targeted this one, but I think, once he started playing it on a regular, some people wanted to hear it more. But then as he's coming out of A Case of You, he actually gets up, starts walking around the stage, and sits back in his chair, and he says, I forgot how emotional these songs can be. And then he breaks into another set of songs, starting off with I Feel For You. Now, and I want to say one more thing too. As I'm reading off these names, try to visualize what these songs would sound like just with piano. Don't think of the whole instrumentation, because probably your visualization is going to be really, really close to what he was actually doing. It's essentially just the chord structures of it, and his percussion was more his bouncing foot off of the pedals than anything else, because you can actually hear him bouncing with his foot, and which really kind of kept the pace of everything that was going. But anyways, I Feel For You, Controversy, The Most Beautiful Girl in the World, which I think was the only Gold Experience song that was played during these two shows. And then he did I Would Die For You, followed by Baby I'm a Star. And then he kind of does a little bit of an audience litmus test, and he goes, thank you, Atlanta. And he gets up and he leaves. Crowd's going insane. That goes on for about a minute and a half. And then he just comes back on simply saying, thank you, thank you, thank you. And he goes into Heroes by David Bowie. The significance of that is that, for those who don't remember, Bowie had passed away just 3 months earlier in January of 2016. So this was kind of a little bit of Prince's homage to David, and just kind of a little bit of a nod to, his contributions. And, then after when Prince passed, to fast forward just for a second, when Prince passed, I do remember, you guys remember the Justice League movie? There was a really quick scene, and if you weren't paying attention, you may have missed it. But there was a guy reading a newspaper, and I actually did find the image where it's the Metropolis Post. Again, this is Justice League. And it says, did they return to their planet? And it shows a picture of David Bowie, Superman, and Prince on the cover. And it says, mysterious wave of disappearing heroes. And so I thought it was interesting that he gave a little bit of a shout out to David Bowie playing Heroes in this set. He didn't play it in the second one, but so I just kind of find these alien conspiracy theories pretty fun, because even though this is all very, very tongue in cheek, there's something to be said about that, because when you look at David Bowie and Prince, and even Michael Jackson in a way, but David Bowie and Prince, and they're very mysterious characters. They don't make them like that. Anyways, after he plays Heroes by David Bowie, he says, thank you, Atlanta. We've got he's talking about the folks that are waiting outside to come in for the 10 p.m. show. But he says, thank you, Atlanta. We got some new fam that's going to be coming in here in a little while. Thank you. Good night. And of course that didn't work, because nobody moved. It was about another 3 minutes of screaming until he had to come on stage and ask, I'm paraphrasing. He says something like, so you don't, want them to be able to come in here at the show. You don't want to, let our brothers and sisters come in here and, let them take a listen? And it's like, no. So he does an encore, and it's a pretty packed encore. He's got Diamonds and Pearls that he breaks into. Adore. I'm very, very bummed out that Anitra didn't make it to that first show because Adore is her favorite song, and so she missed it on the first show. But anyways, then he moves into the beautiful one. He starts to play How Come You Don't Call Me Anymore, and Essential's like, y'all ain't ready for that, and then he never comes back to it. He's done. It's over. And then he goes into Do Me Baby and I Want to Be Your Lover, and that was, again, then he gets up and he figures that's got to be enough, and he tries to leave it one more time. They even turn the lights on and everybody refused to leave. So one more time, he jokingly comes out and he says, I ran out of hits. And of course, not even close, because he's got way more hits than this. And, but he does take a moment to briefly play Kiss for about a few minutes. And then that's the end of the show. He grabs his cane. He just hollers, Atlanta. And then he grabs his cane and he walks off. At that point in time, you can kind of figure once he grabbed the cane, I didn't note that he hadn't grabbed the cane in the previous times he walked off. But when he walked off the stage, that was it. That was the end of the show. And of course, now they're pushing everybody out because they want the 10 p.m. people to come in. And you can't go to the merch table. You're not allowed to go to the merch table. You're not allowed to, because they got to get out so we can get the 10 p.m. in. They can clean up, and, all you need is some ridiculous thing happening at the merch table, and then you're all screwed up. But as we're walking out, as we're being corralled out, I hear multiple people say, why did they play Purple Rain? I can't believe you didn't play Purple Rain. That's bullshit. Play Purple Rain. Why you play Purple Rain? There's a lot of chatter about that. And I am actually surprised. I mean, because again, Prince has to know that a majority of people want to hear Purple Rain. To do an entire show and not play it, I thought it was refreshing. I was just like, I'm thinking, yeah, all right. It's probably one of the first Prince concerts I've been to in a long time. It didn't play Purple Rain. So I'm all about it. Let's do it. But looking back, there's significance at the end of this first show. And that is that the following songs that I'm about to read out were the final times that Prince ever played these songs. Started at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This show was over about 8:45, no, maybe 9 o'clock. But here are the songs that he played that he would never be played again. Joy and Repetition, Muse to the Pharaoh, You Got the Look, Pop Life, Elephants and Flowers, I Could Never Take the Place of Your Man, Under the Cherry Moon, A Case of You, I Feel for You, Controversy, The Most Beautiful Girl in the World, Heroes, Adore, Do Me Baby, I Want to Be Your Lover, and Kiss. None of those songs were played in the second show. So that would be the final times that those songs that I read off would ever be played by Prince. That was it. So leaving the venue, again, no merch on the way out. The first thing I do is go out to my car to pull this up, to pull this recorder out and say, all right, let's see what I caught. Let's see what I caught. Nothing. There was nothing. There was nothing on the friggin', I don't know. I accidentally pressed stop and it just didn't record. I was too nervous that I was going to be, beat up by some big dude in a suit. And I was just like, all right. So it didn't happen. It didn't happen. So it's all right. It wasn't going to be like it was going to be some great recording anyways. Again, it's just whenever I bring this in, it's for reference. That's it. I can't do anything with this. I mean, that's it. So anyways, I'm a little bit bummed out. Get in touch with Anitra. And she says, yeah, she's on the way. Literally, she's left at the airport. She's in a cab and she's coming to Atlanta to come to the second show. I'm like, man, that's playing it tight, man. That is tight as shit. But I'm standing out there and I can't really fully explain the vibe that is outside of this building right now. The crowd that has descended upon Fox Theater, not just the people going into the 10 p.m. show, but the people from the 7 p.m. show that haven't left yet, plus hundreds of people that came in there in order to just hopefully, maybe, I don't know, let's see, hopefully get a glimpse of Prince. And then to make matters worse, on the other, Peachtree Street is 4 lanes, 2 lanes going this way, 2 lanes going that way. On the opposite side of Peachtree Street is a hotel that has some type of cafe set up on the front of it that faces Peachtree. So people will come out in the restaurant and they'll sit at all those tables out in front of the hotel. And it's flat out there right on the street. It's not like, it's raised a little bit, 6 feet or so. But you have all these people that are just flooded over there, all these people that are flooded in front of Fox Theater, so many people that it's spilling onto the street. And just cops couldn't even do anything. They literally had only Peachtree Street was already down to 2 lanes because there was so many people that they couldn't even fit on the sidewalk. So they were spilling out into the first lane on both sides of the street. And the cops just had to say, please God, don't run over people. Cause we were just everywhere, artists everywhere. You can't really see it, but there's behind me over here, there is a sketch done of Prince that I really, really liked. You can't really see it. It's behind this pyramid thing here, but I really, really liked it. I saw it and he goes, hey, $10. So maybe I should just grab it and show it to you. I don't know. No, it's probably gonna make a big mess. Anyways, so it was just everybody was out there just honoring Prince, talking about shows they have seen, and the aura, the spiritual aura that was out on that street. I legit cannot explain it. So many people out in the streets, out on the sidewalk. I turned around and I took this picture of the thing. I don't know why I never took one with me in it. I just turned around and took the picture. You ever been to a black church? A big black church, or better yet, like a worship service with like the wine-ins or something, like one of those big events that happens like Civic Center where, you got the wine-ins or or the Staples Singers or whatever. And it's an experience. It's an experience, especially when they're there in worship and the Holy Spirit just starts whipping through the room like a physical. It's almost like physically feeling the presence of God in that moment, just whirling around the room. And while this is not in a church, that's the kind of vibe that I had being out here on this street, because that aura, that vibe, that spirit, there was something in the air, and it's just whooshing, and it was very palpable. And it is the one thing that I remember more than anything of that night was just being outside, waiting for nature out here, and just being, just absorbing all of the positive energy and all the good vibes. Nobody yelling, nobody hollering, nobody fussing, just nothing but people hanging out, and just incredible. Just an unbelievable experience to be standing out there. And again, this is before 10 p.m. Anitra finally gets there, get her ticket. I'm glad she made it. We had about 20 minutes to get from, no, we actually did more than that. She got there about 40 minutes before the show. We go in, and this time the merch tables are better accessible. So I just spent all my money on this poster in this program. So I was like, all right, I'm going to go to the ATM. So I go to the ATM and I buy a t-shirt. This one that I'm wearing right now. This isn't one of the ones that's up at Paisley Park right now that they're selling this. I bought this at Prince Piano and Microphone. And I bought a Prince Piano and a Microphone mug. Again, not one of the ones from Paisley Park, even though I do have 1 or 2 of those that I've given away as gifts. But this is the real deal from the actual show from 10 years ago tonight. And as I'm sitting there with my shirt, because I already had a shirt on, I don't remember what shirt I had on, but I already had a shirt on. So I have a t-shirt draped over here. I have a mug hanging from my pinky. I have a poster tucked up underneath my arm. I have all this merch, and I'm thinking to myself, why did I buy this much merch? I was so caught up in the spiritual part of the night that I was like, there's something about this night that I'm going to want to remember. I have to commit this night to memory because there's something going on. I don't know what it is. I can't identify it. It's just something highly spiritual that's happening in this building right now. And I have to make sure that, I have every single piece of ridiculous stuff. But anyway, I actually made a shadow box of the stuff that I got. There's my VIP pass. There's the 2 tickets that I had showed you earlier. There's the program sitting in there. I don't think I've ever even fully flipped through that program. I think I did once, but then that was it. There's the poster that I got that was rolled up. And then of course I'm wearing the shirt, and here's the mug. And that's my prized possession, is that shadow box with the poster, the program, the 2 tickets. That's it right there. That right there. My most prized possession. And anyways, I love looking at it. So we get into the Fox, we get into the seats, and as we're kind of walking up to the seats, we go up into the balcony, and not only we were up on the balcony, Nitra and I are walking up there, but we walk all the way to the back of the balcony up against the wall. And this is a picture that Anitra took of me and her sitting against the wall in the back of the balcony for this second show. And remember when I told you that the first show, there was a bunch of screaming women around me, just looking for any opportunity, any type of break in the music or his singing, just to scream, just for the sake of screaming. But up here in the balcony was an entirely different vibe, completely reverent, completely in tune, listening. It was an amazing experience to kind of be back there. And everybody was there, paid $100. We didn't pay $350. Everybody back there paid $100 that was in those seats that are up there in the balcony, singled out. We were all just there. And, but these are the people that worked hard for that $100. And I'm going to hear this show. So you don't be dancing and spilling your beer on me. Don't scream. I want to hear what he said. Everybody was reverent. Everybody was paying attention. It was a very, very, so that time around, I actually was able to actually capture the recording. I actually don't know what happened to that recording. Everything that I'm listening to now is stuff that I was able to find elsewhere. But so again, now the concert has started, and once again, same exact thing, but very, very different this time around, because while the show did start with the kaleidoscope graphics, and it did go into Confluence from John Williams, and they did still do the Faces of Prince, same exact entry with the spotlight coming from behind, and you see the silhouette of him with his cane, and then he walks out, and he does the show. That part was exactly the same, but there were large portions of the show where they were showing photos instead of kaleidoscopes, which I found unusual, because I was a little bit surprised that that they didn't use any graphics at all in the first show. Like, it seemed like, was there not something ready? I mean, he didn't really tell any stories that aligned with, which will make more sense when I kind of explain it. But anyways, I was surprised they didn't use any photos in the first show, but they had them in the second show. After he comes out of Confluence, he's not playing that, by the way. Confluence by John Williams is an instrumental piece. Again, if you tuned in late, it's from the movie Memoirs of a Geisha, and it's pre-recorded. So he's not playing it. It's just pre-recorded that's playing over the PA. And that's both times. But then after Confluence is over, he does in a distorted voice over the microphone, "Atlanta, when will we be paid?" and then he starts playing When Will We Be Paid. Obviously, if you've ever paid attention to that song, it was he was making a lot of statements during this second show, this being the first of them. And of course, Atlanta's the best place to do it. And then he goes in from When Will We Be Paid to The Max, which I know seems like an unusual transition, but it's, it was a very staccato, bouncy piano version of The Max. Then he finally stops for a second, and after he does The Max, and he says it again, he apologizes for the cancellation, and he says, I was a little under the weather, said it again. He says, but I'm here now. And of course, everybody loses their mind, and he goes, where are you? Like he notoriously says sometimes in concert. And of course, everybody loses their mind. And then he breaks into a little bit of a riff telling the story of Funk is Space. Again, the whole time he's doing this, he's, just kind of riffing. And he talks about the Funk is Space story again. He doesn't attach it to his dad this time. He didn't talk about his father in the second show, only in the first one. And then he breaks into Black Sweat. And he gets laughs, his little nods here and there, little notations and whatnot of him kind of bouncing around. And he's like, you'll be screaming like this white lady when I count to 3. And of course, he's pointing to this lady that's screaming up there, which I'm pretty sure there's more of them that were down there in those first 5 rows. God bless you. But I much rather enjoyed myself up there in the back of the balcony than being down there. So, maybe that's just me getting old. If I was younger and, more energetic to be caught up in moments like that, that'd be one thing. But I also understand music, and I understand that when it's just Prince and it's just a piano, and there are a lot of nuances that you will miss if you're screaming instead of listening to what he's doing, you're going to miss it. So I guess you learn that with age. And apparently there was a lot of young women that were at that show, maybe not so young women, that still have not learned that lesson to just listen. And there were guys too. Don't get me wrong. There were guys too. Yeah. Love you, man. You're a bro. All that stupid shit. Anyways. So after he comes out of Black Sweat, then he goes to Girl, which is a really, really cool song to be done only on piano. Once this concert gets released, you guys are going to love this version of Girl. It is really amazing. It's really cool. And he goes into I Would Die For You. And then he goes into Baby I'm a Star. Now, let me just say this. Let me take a sip of water here real quick, because when he does Baby I'm a Star, this is one of the songs that he did do in the first show. But let me hold on a second. He starts to go into this little bit of this running riff, the bum 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 bum, and he starts having this dialogue that starts with, "I don't need no doctor. I don't need no doctor," and he just kept on saying that, and he goes, "What's your name anyway, Doc?" And he says, Fink? No, you want the funk. Wait a minute. Your name is Fink? You took out the U and put in an I? Fink? No. And it's like going on like this. He's doing this dialogue about Fink versus funk. And I'm not exactly sure what that was about. I really honestly don't. I don't know if it had anything to do with Dr. Fink, Matt, or not. I don't know, but it was unusual that he kept mentioning Fink. It's the only Fink that we know from the Purple Universe. It was like there was something that was being said there. And I don't think, out of the multiple times that I've had Matt on the show, you would have thought that I would have asked him about that, but I guess I didn't. I don't know. If anybody knows what the background story on that is, or has heard rumor of what that is, I'd be interested to know. Don't necessarily share it here, because I don't want to start any more problems and start spreading rumors, but eventually we'll get the backstory on that. So he comes out of that little riff that he's doing with the I don't need no doctor, Fink versus funk thing, and goes into the Ballad of Dorothy Parker. Again, some of these seem like strange transitions, but when you're listening to them, the way he kind of slows down the transitions, it works. The Ballad of Dorothy Parker, he does 4 for a minute, just like really briefly, plays Madhouse's 4, then goes into Dark, and then he goes into Indifference. Now, up until that night, I had never heard the song Indifference. It's not on an album that I'm aware of. I think it was a single. It was a single for something, and I don't even remember what it was. But this night was the first time I had ever heard Indifference. For those who have never heard it, again, I wish I could play you a little bit of a piece of it, but it's like, if you and I were in a quiet place, that it's that type of dialogue. Look it up. You can find it online. It's called Indifference. I never heard it. But it was really, really cool to kind of hear it, because it was then followed up by I Love You, But I Don't Trust You. And before he went into I Love You, But I Don't Trust You, he left this silence, this space, and then he hit those chords, bring, bring, just this, to kind of break into it. And it was so people, there's certain tones that really kind of set off emotions. And I'm telling you, when he played those 2 chords, there was a gentleman probably about 10 people away from me. Let's just say he was 10 people away from me. And after Prince played those 2 chords, this guy, you could hear him, all of them just going, yes, 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 knowing that he was going to break into I Love You, But I Don't Trust You. What's interesting about this is that was yet another song that I had heard, but I'd heard it in passing. One of those, I listened to the album. Sure. I had heard the track from Raven to the Joy Fantastic, but I listened to it passively. To hear it in this way, where it's so raw and sparse, the chords are sparse and it's drawn out in this way, where it's just Prince and the piano. I'm telling you, when you guys hear this version of this song, it will send chills up your spine. I don't know. I did not cross references to see if he played that song in any other location other than Atlanta. But let me tell you, oof, man, that was a moment that sent chills up my spine, because hearing those chords, that bring, bring, and then this guy down the way losing his shit because he is just being overwhelmed by emotion just from those 2 chords, just sent chills up my spine. Like, literally, I couldn't get the hair to sit down on my arms for like 2 minutes after the start of this track. So he plays this beautiful rendition of that song. And then he says, I think I got her out of my system. And then he plays a couple chords and he says, maybe not. And then he breaks into Little Red Corvette. And of course, I realized at that point that I had sat a majority of the time. Like, I was absorbing the night very, very differently. Anitra is dancing her ass off, standing. I'm sitting, I'm looking up at Anitra. Anitra 6'2". I'm looking up at her no matter what. But I'm looking up at her and I'm just like, and of course I've got the recorder sitting on my leg and I'm just absorbing this differently. I mean, it just, in that moment when she's dancing the Little Red Corvette and she's just kind of looking down at me like, why are you not dancing? You and some idiot, get a dance. And I'm sitting there and I just like looked at her like blankly. And I realized in that moment that, again, that vibe, that spiritual vibe that is palpable in the air, that it's like thick. I'm just completely absorbed in it. Like I can't escape it. There's something else that's going on in this building and I can't put my finger on it. It was a spiritual thing. And I was just, she knew when she looked back and asked, wondering why I wasn't getting up and dancing. When she saw a look on my face, she was like, all right, I get it. But people celebrate that differently. For me, it's paying attention to it and being, just absorbing it. As I said, for her, it's dancing. For a lot of you, it's dancing. Most people are wallflowers, not because they necessarily want to be wallflowers, but because that's how they process things. That's how I process things. That's obviously changed over the years, but that's what was happening. So then as they finally get out of Little Red Corvette, he goes into Dirty Mind. He goes into the Linus and Lucy again, the Vince Guaraldi, da, 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 and then he goes into Nothing Compares to You. And then he gets up and walks off, and it's obviously too early in the show for, just to be real. And he goes, I was just checking if you're serious. And he comes back and he sits down and he goes, you got to have a conversation with yourself. And then he goes into Cream. And a lot of people think that the Cream song is more of a sexual thing, and you may get that innuendo from watching the video, but the true core, reasoning behind the song Cream is to say, rise to the top. You want to be great, do it. That's you. Get on top. But he was essentially a get off your ass song. And he says, next time you have the opportunity, sing this song to yourself in the mirror when you get home. And if you ever have an opportunity to look at the lyrics of Cream, you'll understand what he was saying. And he finished that. And then after he was done, he says, how about that? And then he says, have a seat. We're going to have a family meeting. I want to talk to my sister real quick. And then he starts going into Black Muse. Again, you should really pay attention to some of the lyrics of some of these songs, because as he's singing them, it's coming across very, very, specific about the message that he is sharing with each one of these songs that he's doing. This particular show was very, very purposeful. He had messages that he was hammering in, and it was pretty amazing to watch, to be totally honest, because I was recognizing it as it was happening, but there were so many people that were just in the room that were just absorbing it I keep using the word absorb, but that's what it is. For entertainment value. And I feel bad for that. They're entertained, I guess, but you're missing it. You know what I'm saying? So then he goes into How Come You Don't Call Me Anymore? And then he does a little bit of a sing along with the How Come You Don't Call Me? And it's funny because he gets trapped in the song and it goes on for a long time. And he literally gets trapped in that for like a couple minutes. And he eventually says, how do I get out of this? So he eventually does. And then of course he walks off the stage. It's got to be yet another encore, but this time around, it was about 4 to 5 minutes of screaming before he finally came back out. And then quietly, without saying a word, he goes into Waiting in Vain from Bob Marley. He starts talking a little bit about relationships around the world and whatnot. And then he goes from Waiting in Vain from Bob Marley into If I Was Your Girlfriend. And then he kind of weaves back and forth in between those songs. And he starts talking about, the movie The Way We Were with Barbra Streisand and Robert Redford. And he starts talking about, do you ever notice, he goes, do you ever see this movie when Robert Redford breaks up with Barbra Streisand and Barbra Streisand goes home and she doesn't have anybody to talk to. And she ends up calling Robert Redford, who just dumped her, to talk about it because he's the only friend that she knows. And he's like interweaving that storyline in with would you run to me if somebody hurt you, even if that somebody was me? He's like weaving it into that storyline with If I Was Your Girlfriend and this, and kind of showing parallels obviously to that. And then of course, after that song is over, appropriately so, he says, thank you, Atlanta. Good night. And he starts walking. Another couple minutes of screaming. So he's obviously playing it. There is no other audience outside that's waiting. There's nobody waiting out there. So he doesn't have to rush to get people out. So they put up this graphic on the screen showing this snow-filled street. And yep, you guessed it. He comes out and he plays Sometimes It Snows in April. And of course, it's April. And it's not snowing in Atlanta, but it would be. And he goes from Sometimes It Snows in April to Purple Rain, which of course everybody loses their mind. And then he weaves Purple Rain into The Beautiful Ones, and then back out to Purple Rain, and then back into Diamonds and Pearls, and then back into Purple Rain one more time. And then he finishes the night and says, thank you, Atlanta, grabs his cane, walks off the stage. And of course, just like they did in the Purple Rain tour, they played the string section, the walk-off string section from Purple Rain, and that was it. All the lights came up. You knew the show was over. That was the final concert that he would ever play. The songs that were in that second show that were played exclusively were, and the last time that he would ever play them, When Will We Be Paid, The Max, Black Sweat, Girl, The Ballad of Dorothy Parker, 4, Dark, Indifference, I Love You But I Don't Trust You Anymore, Cream, Black Muse, Waiting in Vain, If I Was Your Girlfriend, and appropriately, strangely enough, the last 2 songs that he would ever play in concert were Sometimes It Snows in April and Purple Rain. Obviously interwoven with, those other couple tracks. But as far as the last, the songs that did not get played in show 1. So out of roughly 27, a couple dozen or so songs that are in each one of the shows and each set list, only 10 songs overlapped between the 2 shows. And that was Confluence, obviously the opening pre-recorded piece from John Williams, Little Red Corvette, I Would Die for You, Diamonds and Pearls, and Nothing Compares to You. Those are the only ones. So that night, I get home. And I write a review. And I'm sitting and I'm writing this review, and my heart's in it. I mean, I'm like, God, man, I have my recorder, but I had scratched everything on various pieces of paper, and just like, oh, he walked up here, he stood up here, that's the reason why my memories of this night are as vivid as they are, is because I wrote them down. If I had to rely on myself and my own mental capacity, we're done. But anyways, so I sit down and I write this review, because I don't get home until, I don't know, it's probably about midnight or so. And I'm up till about 1:30 or later writing this review. And if you want to read it, it's still up on Funkatopia. You can go to funkatopia.com/Fox. That's FUNKATOPIA.com/Fox, FOX for the Fox Theater. And that will take you directly to the review. I just had to set up a shortcut for it. But so I post it, all's good. And then I go to bed. Pretty satisfied with myself that I'd experienced what I experienced. Of course, I sat up in bed for the next 2 hours just staring at the ceiling going, wow, man, what a freaking show, man. Holy cow. That was freaking amazing. Get up on April 15th to find out that when Prince was flying home to Minneapolis, Prince became unresponsive. And about 1:12 in the morning, while I was tapping out that review, his private jet had made an emergency landing in Quad City International Airport in Illinois. Was it Moline, Illinois? I think it is. And of course, first responders had to come out there onto the tarmac, and they had to administer Narcan, which they use for opioid overdoses. And he's taken to a local hospital. I guess the stories I've heard, he didn't have a private room. He didn't want to kind of be out there with the, Gen Pop. So he left. And it would a few more hours later, and they'd be flying the rest of the way home. But I guess he arrives home, And he reads my review on Funkatopia, the same one that you could read at funkatopia.com/Fox. And he posted on Twitter. So he puts audio perfection, and then he puts the URL to my review in between it, but it says audio space perfection, and he posts the link to the review. And once again, my servers came crashing down because I was on a shared server. I didn't learn my lesson until after this had happened for the umpteenth time, because this would not be the first time that Prince tweeted about me or did a post about me driving insane amounts of driving insane amounts of traffic to the website. But this would also be the last time that he would do it before he would pass away a week later. And I've told myself I need to print this out in super high resolution and frame it, because 10 tweets later, this was only like about a dozen tweets back. I think it's PRN Legacy is the Twitter account that the estate has taken over Prince, but PRN Legacy is where Prince's account was moved to. So if you go to x.com/PRN, Prince Rogers Nelson, PRN Legacy, you will see this. But yeah, once again, brought my server to a screeching halt, but it was pretty amazing to actually see that. And again, a day later on the 16th, he has a little bit of a dance party at the Paisley Park estate, kind of shows off this purple Yamaha piano and the custom guitar. And he didn't really, play like a full set or anything. He just kind of tinkered around, but he did say, wait a few days before you waste any prayers, is what he said. And then also earlier in that day, he was up at Electric Fetus at the record store, walking around getting a record store day. So I'm not going to go beyond that day, because next week, Tuesday, is the 10-year anniversary of his transition. I will be flying from here out to Minneapolis on the morning of 4/20. I'll be doing the 2 shows with Michael Bland and Urban Classic. I'll be emceeing and doing some DJ stuff up there with Urban Classic on 4/20, and then also 4/20. I'll be walking around doing whatever on 4/21. I'll talk about that in a second. But during that time window, we'll kind of expand a little bit more into the days leading up to his passing, because I don't want to take this moment and merge it with that, because those 2 shows were easily the best concerts I've ever seen in my life. And unfortunately, they were his last. And so I'm hoping that you guys enjoyed that journey that we just did of getting the tickets, going to the first shows, walking through the set list of the first one together, walking through the set list of the second one. I would love for you to be able to hear the concerts, but again, they haven't been officially released. Doesn't take a whole bunch of searching to find them if you wanted to, but I will say that they're very amazing, and it's a beautiful opportunity tonight to take a listen to it on the 10-year anniversary of those shows, which is tonight. Just figure out, just be resourceful and figure out a way to be able to, because once they do get released in their unbelievably pristine quality that you would expect a release to be, it's going to be pretty phenomenal. It's going to be pretty phenomenal. So I'm looking forward to that. I don't know what they have to deal with or what hoops they have to jump through, but there's that. So let me talk about a couple of things. That's the show for that part of it. Thank you so much for tuning in for that. Now we're going to talk a little bit more about some other purple things that are going on this week, though. And also just kind of, get a little bit of a litmus test to see where you guys are. If you have any questions, or anything that you want to share, please do so in the chat room. But there are some things going on this week, and let's do it chronologically. Actually, you know what? Let's jump forward a little bit to 4/21. 4/21 is obviously the 10-year anniversary of his passing. So there's a couple things going on here. Actually, you know what? I'll just run through them real quick, because I want to make sure. I have a special guest that's in the in the green room right now that I want to bring in that will discuss one of the events that's going to be coming up here this week. So I want them to be able to explain it for themselves, but I also want to stay chronological since these dates are coming up like soon. We're already at April 14th, coming up on April 17th. First off, we have Jerome Benton is going to be doing the 40th anniversary film screening of Under the Cherry Moon. That is going to be at Regal. If you go to any of Jerome's, it's on Instagram, it's I am Jerome Benton. You can go to any of those and you'll be able to get the information about this. It's going to be a screening of Under the Cherry Moon. It's going to be hosted by Jerome Benton. And if I remember correctly, it's going to be moderated by Dr. Funkenberry. So that's pretty cool, knowing that he's out and about. And I thought I saw another event that Funkenberry is doing too. So I'm taking that as positivity. I'm taking that as good vibes that he is, doing better. And some of these difficulties that he's been experiencing with this cancer battle is starting to take a positive route, but he's going to be moderating this. And he's also going to be moderating some other event that I don't have any other details on either. And secondly, on 4/17 as well, this is D'Angela Duff's. If you're not familiar, if you've never been to polishedsolid.com, you need to check that out. This is D'Angela Duff. And she does these symposiums that are just unbelievably detailed. She is a monster in her own right. And she is celebrating 40 years of Prince's Parade and Under the Cherry Moon. It's going to be an online virtual symposium, April 17th through the 19th. You can also be a part of the in-person symposium in Brooklyn, New York. And for those who don't know who D'Angela Duff is, she's like one of these Prince scholars that just pretty much knows everything there is to know. We are like elementary school, maybe like preschool. She's still up on that collegiate level. She actually literally has a dual appointment as an associate vice provost at NYU. And she's also an industry professor in integrated design and media, IDM at NYU Tandon. I mean, this woman is a hardcore Prince scholar, and she's going to be diving into I Wonder You. Please make sure you check that out. You can go to polishedsolid.com, polished, like you're polishing something, polishedsolid.com, and you can get information on that as well. Now, moving forward to 420, really quick. I've already mentioned it. I'm going to be flying out there on 420. Michael Bland is going to be doing two shows at the Dakota with his band Urban Classic called Revelation. They celebrate the life and legacy of Prince, but to be very, very clear, do not expect this show to be 100% Prince. It is not. There is a handful of Prince tunes in there, but you will be absolutely amazed because they sent me the set list and it's freaking unreal. I mean, Alexander O'Neill, Jaka, there's so much stuff in here. You have to check this out. And of course, you're talking about Michael Bland, Tommy Barbarella, Ash Smash, G Sharp, JB, Corey Eishin, and special guest Liv Warfield is also going to be there as well. That is April 20th. I will be there. I'll be emceeing and also doing some DJing. And that is on 420. Go to dakotacooks.com, DAKOTA cooks.com, and you can get more information on that. Now, let's move to 421. Well, I will tell you about some other things that I'm doing. I want to kind of make sure that I bring up this amazing event right here that is happening in LA. If you happen to be on the other side of the planet, there is a major event that is happening over there for the Glam Slam benefit. It's going to be the W Hotel in Hollywood, California. And it's honor once again to welcome to the stage, ladies and gentlemen. Please give a warm round of applause for the one, the only, and very patient. Sorry, I've been even in the green room so long. Maite is in the house.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Can you hear me? I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Man, I tell you, every time that you guys make an announcement about this show, you've added somebody else to the mix, and it's becoming to the point where if you're in the LA area, it is getting to a point where it doesn't make sense not to go to this.
Yeah, I know.
Can you talk a little bit about these folks that have joined, including the illustrious George Lopez, and how that came about. And tell me about some of the other guests that are happening here, and just tell people about this event.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's our first that Live for Love is having. So I'm really excited that we're coming together, and of course we're fundraising as well. I have two programs. One's Live for Dance and one's Live for Music. And I have two students from Live for Music flying in to play with the band that's playing. So I'm really excited because they're like nervous. And I'm like, this is what I wanted. I wanted these kids to have an opportunity to get amazing teachers, opportunity to perform. You know, I'm really to rewind the George Lopez thing. I forgot I had him on my cell phone. And I know that's weird because sometimes I forget my past. I'm like, oh God, I have his number. So I texted him. I was like, hi, this is Maite. Is this still George's phone? And he was like, yeah. I was like, can I call you? Just in case. I was like, maybe somebody like, you know, I don't know. I just wanted to hear his voice. So I call him. He's like, hey, like him. And he's like, are you still rescuing dogs? And I was like, you know it. I was like, okay, so that's what I met him a long time ago. I auditioned. I did like a chemistry read with him, whole situation, and he's awesome. And it was quick thinking. I was just going to invite him. And I was like, are you going to be in Hollywood? Because I noticed that he's back on tour. I was like, are you going to be in Hollywood 21st? And he was like, yeah, I'm here. Okay. And then in my mind's like, just invite him. And then this side was like, just make him host. Ask him to host. All he could say is no. So I was like, would you mind co-hosting with me? Like, it was one of those, like, it just came out. And it was like a 3-second pause. And he was like, yeah, I'll co-host with you. And I was like, ooh, really? So
nice.
That's happened, you know. And I told him, I was like, you know, Prince left me on. We started this charity back in 1996. And, you know, I told him all the programs that we're doing and we're planning on doing. He was like, oh, yeah, I'm all about that. So I got him to be a part of it. And I have Dwayne. Dwayne is this new artist. Dave actually hit me to him. And he's like he's just a cool rock kind of like, and then he also does something. He did something with The Time, like, or Morris, like approved. Do you know Dwayne?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. So I DM'd him on Instagram and I got his number and I was like, would you mind, you know, playing? And he was like, oh my God, it'd be my honor. And I was like, this is awesome. Yeah. So, you know, and then Harvey Mason, I don't know if you know Harvey Mason. He's playing for the VIP section. There's going to be a jazz take on Prince, which Niels is performing. Shelby's performing, Harvey, and then Wallace. It's not the father, it's his son, who's an amazing, talented player. I mean, it's going to be really, really great. And then of course, St. Paul. And I mean, it's going to be a night of just celebrating, you know, rejoicing, sharing, and uplifting.
And I think I think I may have, hold on a second. I may actually have the video that Paul just posted today. Hold on a second. Let's take a look at this together.
The night begins in Hollywood. A gathering of funk family and friends. A sound that shaped generations and still moves the world. 10 years later, that sound lives on. April 21st, W. Hollywood. St. Paul and the Minneapolis Funk All-Stars.
There you go. Good job, Paul.
It's going to be such a great night.
Yeah, and on top of that, if you guys missed it, you probably didn't see all the names that were in there, but you know, Elisa Fiorillo is going to be there, Dr. Fink is going to be there, Jerome Benton's going to be there. I mean, this is quite a big. Did I see Wendy's name on there, or did I not see Wendy's name?
I don't know. Susanna's coming, so I'm hoping.
Oh, maybe that's what it was. Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
I saw Melvoin. Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. And so again, so you got all these folks that are going to be there. It's obviously, you know, to benefit, obviously talk about Live and Web. It goes directly to Live for Love charities.
Live for Love charities. Yeah. Live for Love charities. Yeah.
And it's a W Hotel at Hollywood. And what is the best? I think it's too small for my old eyes to see. What is the best place for them to go to get these tickets? I'm trying to expand that.
LiveForLoveCharities.org. We have it in the
Oh, yeah,
once you get to that stage, we're everywhere. I want to take advantage and announce the winners because we offered two tickets, and I have the winners. We did a draw.
Nice. Okay, everybody, if you're here tuning in, did you tell people? Did you tell your folks to tune in?
No, but I'll go live again.
Okay,
but you guys.
right. There you go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got the announcement that's about to happen. The winner. And what's included? What is the prize?
It's a ticket for 2 VIP winners. I have a ticket for VIP, and I have a admission tickets. So the winner for the VIP is Angela Posey Jeffries. Yay!
Nice.
And then the GA winner is Kevin Anderson.
Nice. Okay.
So there you go. We gave away 2 tickets.
I remember Kevin Anderson. I don't remember that first one. You dropped out for like a half a second, so I couldn't hear the whole name. But
Angela Posey Jeffries.
Okay, yeah.
So, yeah,
perfect. There it is. All right. So, and she'll probably take this clip and put it on there, unless you're going to just announce it again in a more formal environment. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to it, but there's still tickets available for this, right? It's not already sold out.
There's still tickets. I'm doing press. I mean, I've gotten a lot of people that are like, oh, I'm going to get tickets. And I'm like, hurry, because it's going to sell out. So a lot of people have texted me and saying that they're going to get tickets and they're going to come. It's going to be a great night. I'm really excited. I know what you were talking about earlier on. It's for the last 10 years, it's been hard. It's going to always be hard.
Right.
We miss him. But I think what better way to play his music and join, with people who know him, loved him, and just are open to, even people that are open to learning about him. Why not all join together and celebrate? So that's what I'm looking forward to, instead of, eating a whole bunch of chocolate and, being sad.
Well, if you guys want to make it out to that event, again, it's liveforlovecharities.org. That's live for the number 4 lovecharities.org.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm sad you can't be there, but I know I'll see you soon.
Yeah, I know. It's just schedule changes, but I'll be in Minneapolis, and I'll talk to the people about that. But because I'm not doing anything other than the 420 thing, so there are people that I do know that are coming to Minneapolis for the shows on 420 and then leaving on 421 to come to your event. So I do know that there are people that are doing that. So I'm not trusting any folks I know of 2. So
okay.
There you go. And I would have been the 3rd, but it's just too much. But
too much. Okay.
It's going to be great for you, though. It's going to be an amazing event. Again, if you missed it, look at all those people that are going to be in the mix. George Lopez is going to be co-hosting this event with Maite. And then you've got all these amazing people, the names that you obviously know. You obviously, guys, some of you know Dwayne, but you definitely know Shelby J and this St. Paul and the Minneapolis Funk All-Stars. It's going to have Dr. Fink, and it's just so many people. It's going to be a great show. You need to be there. Jerome Benton's going to be there too. And Maite, thank you so much for coming. And you guys need to head out there right now to liveforlovecharities.org and grab your tickets if you happen to be on that side of the country.
Thank you so much.
Maite, thank you for dropping in again, dear.
Yeah, thank you. Anytime.
All right. I'll talk to you later. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the one and only Maite. Now, all right, we'll talk about the other 2 events that are happening on 421. Again, I will be at the shows at 420, Michael Bland's Urban Classic shows on 420 at the Dakota in Minneapolis. I will be there DJing and also emceeing. I'll be breaking out my laptop with some deep cuts and just having a lot of fun and just hanging out with you guys. And then on 421, all right, let me explain 420. It's going to be interesting for Michael Bland and myself to be together on 420. But after the second show, I will be doing a candlelight ceremony after the second show. So if you are planning to attend at Dakota, again, this is on 420, Monday, 420. If you're come to the second show, please stay after, because we will be doing a candlelight ceremony. We will be doing purple candles from Dakota over to his mural over by First Avenue. So it's just a 2-block walk, but we'll do that all together with candles and purple beads and this, that, and the other. And that will be after the second show. If you come to the first show, maybe don't go home immediately. Go grab a drink or something at a bar and then come back after the second show and come join us. Or go down to First Avenue and hang out down that way and wait for us to come, whatever. But that's something that I wanted to do. I wanted to do a candlelight ceremony. I did say that I wanted to do a candlelight ceremony on the day of, on April 21st. But one of the things that I have not discussed yet, because I wanted to make sure that I got Maite an opportunity to tell people about the winners and her event, is that Paisley Park is doing a day to reflect, a night to remember on that day. And pretty much the entire day is going to be open from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. for public tours. From 10 to 5, the MPG Music Club is going to be open for a free event. They're going to have the memorial fence out there by the wall outside of Paisley Park. Guests are invited to go into the MPG Music Club area there. They're going to be folding origami doves and writing personal messages on their doves. And, you know, they're going to be showing you how to make things. And you can even bring your own artwork if you wanted to. And then there's going to be a curated playlist that's going to be playing. I don't know what's going to be included there. And then at 4:21, they're going to be doing a candle lighting ceremony in the MPG Music Club. And it's going to be live streamed. The candlelight ceremony is going to be happening there, and a moment of silence at 4:21. So the reasoning why I decided against doing the candlelight ceremony on the day of is because they're already doing one at 4:21. I realize it's not outside in Riley Creek and it's, you know, a whole thing, but I feel like I don't want to do, I really am, you know, kind of over trying to do anything that may conflict or cause people to do something separately that they're planning. So I'm fine with their candlelight ceremony, and we will do our candlelight ceremony after Michael Bland's show on 4:20. There's nothing that the estate or Paisley Park is going to be doing at that time. So there's that. As far as the night to remember is concerned, after the candlelight ceremony that's happening on a day to reflect, it changes into a night to remember. However, if you did not get tickets to this, it's sold out. I don't know what to tell you. It was going to be, it's $40 and the parking was $15. But it was going to be a walkthrough tour for an hour and a half. The walkthrough tour is essentially you walking through and looking at whatever you want to look at. No guides or anything. And then from 7 to 9, they're playing a concert screening of Prince. Have not announced what the concert is, what era it's from. Please be Prince piano on a microphone. Please be Prince piano on a microphone. Be Prince piano on a microphone. We don't know, but it's 4:21. So I would hope it would be something that will have a lot more meaning. I hope it will have a lot more meaning. So anyways, that's happening on 4:21 at Paisley Park. I will be there. I'll be hanging out all day on 4:21. If there's something cool that you guys know of that you want to do, please let me know. I know there's another event. I think with I don't know. There's a couple of events I heard of, dance parties and stuff that's going on. So maybe after that concert is over, I'll go down and do that. I don't know, but it's going to be fun to be able to hang out and do that. But please make sure that you join us on matter of fact, on 4:20, even if you don't go to either one of the Urban Classic shows, please come after the show is over. I don't know when that would be at 10:30. I don't know. And do the walk with us, a 2-block walk in downtown Minneapolis from Dakota over to First Avenue and his mural over there at First Avenue. It will be a really, really cool event. I'll actually have a little bit of a speech prepared for that. Nothing lengthy like this was. But anyways, I hope you guys had a good time tonight. It got an eventful week coming up here with things that are happening within a week's period of time. Obviously, next Tuesday is 4:21, the 10-year anniversary of his passing. I will do as much as I possibly can to live stream from that area. Obviously can't live stream from within Paisley Park, especially when they're doing a concert screening, but definitely after that, which will be 8:00, because if it's 7 to 9, it would be 8:00 Eastern Standard Time. So we'll see. I'll try to keep everybody on the live stream and let you guys go along from our journey. And I'm going to pop in off and on quite a bit during 421. I'll probably go up to Electric Fetus, maybe Cheapo Records, like my normal haunts, and meet up with some folks, have lunch and whatnot. And there's that. Hope you guys had a good time tonight. Quite an undertaking this evening, quite an eventful day. There's a lot that I did not talk about here, but it's been a good day. I feel like there's some new things that are happening, new things coming on the horizon. It's going to be good to be up there in Minneapolis next week. If you're up in Minneapolis and you know of something really, really cool that you think I should do while I'm up that way, please let me know. I don't know what my availability is going to be on 420 because I don't know if Michael's going to need me to come down there to the rehearsal. So I don't know. Just send me stuff. Funkatopia@gmail.com. Send me some stuff. Congratulations, obviously. Very, very cool to finally hear about the lineup. For those that missed it, right before we came on the air, the estate announced the Prince celebration lineup, which includes members of MPG and the Revolution together. New Power Generation and the Revolution, a combined thing. It's crazy. Shaka Khan. Last time Shaka Khan was at celebration, she was just talking. This is not her just talking. This is her singing, performing. Because New Power Generation, the Revolution playing together in some type of weird symbiosis. Shaka Khan, Morris Day. Don't know if it's really going to be legit Morris Day, where we might get to hear some of his other stuff, not just the stuff he always plays, but like maybe Don't Wait For Me, or there's so much. Miguel, Tevin Campbell, Bilal, are you kidding me? Bilal is amazing. I've been following Bilal for 20 plus. This dude, I still remember the first time I ever saw him was at a funk jazz cafe here in Atlanta, and he showed up as a new rising star. It was probably about 20 years ago, and he's a monster. Cat Graham, Sounds of Blackness, plus special guests Bootsy Collins, Jimmy Jam, and Terry Lewis, and more. That's pretty amazing. This is an okay. I was wondering what they were going to do, and they did it. So I'm glad to see them go beyond the purple circle and actually do something like this. Congrats. I can't wait to see it. It's going to be very, very exciting. Hoping I'm inside the building. And with all that being said, hope you guys have a great time. I'll do a little bit of a recap just so you know where to go. If you want to get tickets to this Prince celebration, just go to paisleypark.com and you can click on the tickets to buy your tickets. If you've been to previous celebrations before, I think it's 2 or 3 or more celebrations, posthumous celebrations, look in your email for a promo code that will actually get you 20% off the price of the tickets, or 50% off if you've been to almost all of them. And then, of course, make sure you go to, if you want to join us on April 20th in Minneapolis at Dakota at the Urban Classic Show with myself and Michael Bland and Tommy Barbarella and G Sharp and Liv Warfield. And just the whole crew is going to be out there. Go to dakotacooks.com, DAKOTA, dakotacooks.com. And if you're in LA, you got to go to the Instagram of Jerome Benton's and go to I Am Jerome Benton on Instagram and get tickets for the screening coming up for Under the Cherry Moon. That's going to be happening, that he's going to be hosting and doing a screening of the show. And it's going to be moderated by Funkenberry. And then, of course, thank you for Maite stopping in. She's got her big event, the Glam Slam event that's going to be happening. That's got not only her, but Maite and George Lopez co-hosting this massive event for charity featuring St. Paul and the Minneapolis Funk All-Stars. It's obviously got St. Paul, and it's got Fink and Jerome Benton and Susanna Melvoin, and just a laundry list of folks that are going to be on that stage. And it's going to be pretty awesome. And Shelby J. It's really awesome. Want tickets to that? That's liveforlovecharities.org. That's live for the number 4 lovecharities.org. You can get tickets for that there. There's so much going on. It's ridiculous. But if you're up in Minneapolis, please let me know. what cool things are happening, because I may drop in, because I'm not on any schedule other than the evening of 420. I'm not on any schedule. I'm just not. So hope you guys had a great time. Next week, next time you see me, I will be in Minneapolis. So I hope to see you guys up there, or live streamed or connected somehow in some form or fashion. Thanks for tuning in tonight, y'all. I hope you had a good time. I hope hoping it wasn't too sparse with me describing the first two shows, or the last two shows of Princess performances here in Atlanta. But I'm glad you joined me along for the reminiscing. We'll see you next week from Minneapolis, live from Minneapolis. It's Mr. Christopher signing off. Michael Bland sends his regards. He is in practice tonight. That's the reason why he's not here this evening. But you'll see him on one of the live streams next Tuesday for sure. Good night, everyone. Hope you had a good time. See you soon.